In the history of Guyana, there was never and will never be a more corrupt president than the current president of Guyana, President Irfaan Ali. This will be a very lengthy video showing the massive corruption, where a presidential salary of 3.7 million Guyana dollars per month could never substantiate this mind-boggling 150-acre ranch investment amounting to more than $2.2 billion, which was developed in just 3 years after becoming president of Guyana in 2020. I am standing on President Irfaan's entry road, a 2.2-kilometer road in length and 17 feet in width that has a designated fleet of heavy machinery to maintain his private road leading to his ranch. Most farmers along this highway would use an existing trail road that is about 7 feet wide, but Irfaan's road is drastically wider to accommodate big trucks from Brazil. In fact, there was and still is a trail road leading to his ranch, but it is not of his standard, as he wanted a straight, clean, beautiful landscape leading to his luxury estate. This man is so selfish, he decided to make his own massive road leading into his luxurious ranch. It is so smooth that even the Lamborghini could blaze this road. Based on engineer estimates, this road alone costs approximately $75 million. Mind you, this is a conservative figure, not the overpriced figure the PPP and their contractor friends quote to build roads, while communities throughout the country don't even have a proper loom road. This entire 150 acres was all forested land. Based on land developer estimates, clearing this massive ranch alone, leveling and hauling away everything costs no less than $300 million. Now let's talk about electricity to power this city. The electrical infrastructure alone is a significant investment with 70 lantern posts and 210 high voltage isolators. There are roughly 6,600 meters of electrical distribution lines running throughout the estate from the Linden-Soesdijk Highway to the facility. As seen on the estate, there are at least 2 transformers, including both pole-mounted and pad-mounted. These very transformers can comfortably provide electricity for approximately 500 average homes. Altogether, the cost for the entire electrical infrastructure, including installation and labor of this estate, totals approximately $55 million. The residents in one of the closest villages to Irfaan's estate, St. Cuthbert's Mission, have for decades received electricity for only 4 hours a day, while Irfaan is powering his estate for his black-belly sheep and Brazilian cows. In fact, I have been informed that the generator in St. Cuthbert's Mission is currently down. So many housing schemes across Guyana is to this day without electricity. This is inhumane. My fellow Guyanese, this substantial farming and ranching operation is like never before seen. Let us begin with 2 large state-of-the-art poultry tunnel houses with fully automatic silos to ensure the 80,000 chickens are fed continuously to reduce labor requirements. Each modern ventilated tunnel house is equipped with galvanized insulated roofing and large exhaust fans to reduce heat absorption and ensure that the birds are cool and comfortable. Based on agricultural engineer estimates and Minister Mustafa, these 2 poultry houses cost approximately $340 million. The government built a similar poultry house in Onverwak for $170 million.
And also the government is making a contribution to that. So the total cost of this entire tunnel house will cost approximately $170 million.
Now let's talk about the cost of the 80,000 chickens themselves and the profit the president is making off his chicken farm. The cost to buy 80,000 chicks with feed is around $80 million. Guess when he sells these 80,000 chickens, how much profit he will be making? $80 million every 6 weeks.
And at the same time, every 6 weeks, they will take out from here 40,000 meat balls.
Let me explain. At $230 per chick, multiplied by 80,000 chicks, that is $18.4 million, coupled with feed for one crop at $7,200 per bag, costs an additional $57.6 million. That is a total of $76 million the president has invested in his personal chicken farm. At the market price of $400 a pound for a 5-pound chicken for his farm of 80,000 chickens, he is slated to make $160 million. Therefore, his profit every 6 weeks is 160 minus his $76 million investment, which leaves him with a whopping $84 million profit. Can you imagine that? Now let's talk about his cattle investment. As seen on the estate, President Irfaan constructed a massive cattle house that can comfortably accommodate 500 Brazilian cows. The cows have their own pathway to the pasture, built with timber to withstand the herds, galvanized steel roof, multiple holding quarters, and feeding areas. Agricultural engineers estimate the cost of this cattle house at approximately $40 million. Now let's talk about the cost of the cattle themselves. Currently, there are 200 cows reared at the ranch. Every day, truckloads of antelope grass come directly to the ranch to feed the cattle. As seen on his estate, President Irfaan has his designated tractor and trailer, costing $15 million to transport the grass. At $800 per pound wholesale, with 400 pounds per cow average, and 200 cows currently reared, President Irfaan's cows are worth $64 million. While his estate has properly irrigated pastures for his cows with antelope grass shuttled in, our local cattle farmers have to endure significant losses of their cattle, drowned with no intervention from the government. My fellow Guyanese, after a most exhausting search, we have found the missing black-belly sheep on President Irfaan's ranch. As seen here, the flock of approximately 200 sheep of various age, breed, and stage are housed in an elevated structure with multiple quarters. Built with intention, a wide central walkway runs through the middle, giving workers easy access to each quarter for feeding, watering, and inspections. The raised slated wooden floors allow the manure and urine to fall through the gaps below to keep the pens drier, reduce disease risk, and reduce labor for cleaning. This is the type of infrastructure for a successful farm operation, and this costs approximately $10 million. Now let's talk about the value of the sheep themselves. At an average live weight of 90 pounds per sheep and $1,000 per pound, 200 sheep are worth approximately $18 million. So while Irfaan and Zulfi are giving our local sheep farmers one ram,
I had about a door per ram, and then the government gave me a black belly ram.
the president has 200 alone here. And just imagine how many were already sold. That is putting people first. Moving on to President Irfaan's goat herd. As can be seen on the estate, the goat quarters have approximately 50 goats. The quarters itself is worth approximately $3 million. At an average live weight of 70 pounds per goat and $1,000 per pound, 50 goats are worth approximately $3 million. Just neighboring the goat quarters is the Black Giant pen, housed in a long poultry shelter. The construction of this structure costs approximately $3 million. There are around 500 black giants worth $1.2 million. In addition to President Irfaan's chicken, cow, sheep, goat, and black giant livestock operation, he also has a thriving duck business. As can be seen on the estate, the shelter is worth about $3 million. At the National Tushao Conference, Irfaan referred to me as a duck thief who only gives the people gravy from the pot.
Those who grew up in the countryside, there are stories of neighbor stealing neighbor duck or fowl. And when the neighbor steal the neighbor duck and fowl, what they will do is that they will cook the duck and fowl. And they will give the neighbor who they stole from some of the gravy. That makes sense? You ain't giving no meat or no bone. You're giving the gravy. And then you say, it's philanthropy. My God, have mercy on thy soul.
But now we see who is the real duck thief. And not only is he stealing the ducks from the people, but he's not even giving them any gravy. Now let's take a dive into the main residential ranch house, a substantial two-story concrete home, which President Irfaan uses for his leisure time, for probably just a few times a year. Meanwhile, there are tens of thousands of Guyanese who still don't have a place to call home. The luxurious vacation home is fully air-conditioned with a wraparound terrace and decorative railings. Adjacent to the main residence is a recreational entertainment area featuring a swimming pool, paved pool deck, gazebo, and an outdoor kitchen to cook the Kazarip cook-up. The panoramic views overlooking the calm freshwater creek provide a stunning backdrop for the two Benabs, creating a picturesque and tranquil setting. The cost for President Irfaan's peaceful rural retreat home, pool, gazebo, entertainment area, and two Benabs are estimated at approximately $165 million. Now I want to show you just how your taxpayer money is being squandered by the president simply for his own personal enjoyment and fun. Guyanese, have a look at President Irfaan's very own man-made circuit creek. Have a look at what your president did to this massive rainforest at the mouth of his private creek. This is the current Google Maps image of the area still not developed. Now look at the massive transformation from untouched rainforest to Irfaan's own personal kayaking circuit. Look at the size of this man-made creek, while Guyanese are waiting decades for a 40 by 80 house lot. The cost of this massive transformation is $60 million. While we are on freshwater, let's now move on to President Irfaan's massive tambaqui investment. For those who may not know, the tambaqui fish is one of the most expensive Brazilian freshwater fish in the Amazon. In Guyana, it is becoming popular for its rapid growth and sustainability in freshwater. You can see that President Irfaan has received the best fiscal advice to utilize the latest technologically advanced systems and guidance from agricultural experts and economists to ensure that every single one of his livestock, agriculture, and aquaculture investments gives him a massive turnover, a billionaire overnight. The two large circular rings you see on your screen are aquaculture cages. Aside from the commercial cage system itself, additional infrastructure includes earthwork, canal, excavation, solar-powered aeration, and pumping equipment, fish stock, tambaqui fingerlings, feed, installation, and anchoring, and water control infrastructure. The two cages of that size and magnitude can hold 20,000 to 40,000 fish, with high density production of up to 50,000 to 75,000 fish each ring. A significant investment. This tambaqui fish that so many enjoy is 1,000 Guyana dollars a pound. Unbelievable. Moving on to President Irfaan's Hassa fish investment. Surrounding the cages are several engineered earthen ponds to form Hassa. You can see water control canals and embankments. The total cost for the tambaqui and Hassa aquaculture infrastructure is approximately $50 million. This conservative estimate does not include the tambaqui and Hassa fish that are worth millions. The centerpiece of President Irfaan's private luxury estate ranch is a series of long-span, modern, tunnel greenhouses and hydroponic farms, 9 to be exact, arranged in parallel in organized rows designed for extensive agricultural production. The climate-controlled hydroponic greenhouses support production of high-value crops, including vegetables and plant nurseries. The 9 state-of-the-art greenhouses include irrigation systems, internal crop benches, and trellises, and covered feeding and service areas, allowing workers and equipment to operate. These 9 commercial greenhouses designed for hydroponic crop production is worth $150 million. I hope the Guyanese people and our local cash crop farmers are paying keen attention to how the president is living like a Maharaja while they are struggling with harsh conditions of their crops. In addition to the modern state-of-the-art greenhouse and hydroponic investment, President Irfaan also has 7 shade houses for garden landscaping and Brazilian plants, protecting them from harsh weather conditions. At $5 million per shade house, these 7 shade houses cost at least $35 million. As you can see, Irfan's shade houses are much more sophisticated and technologically advanced as compared to this shed Minister Zulfikar gave the Kurukuru community, an impoverished community just 15 minutes away. The 7 shade houses and exotic Brazilian plants are worth at least $50 million. We are now moving on to President Irfaan Ali's private orchard and citrus production. This grid-like pattern you see on your screen is thousands of young fruit trees, each established on raised mounds, with cleared basins around the base to improve drainage. The commercial fruit production includes pineapple, orange, tangerine, lemon, lime, dragon fruit, katahar, breadfruit, banana, plantain, and many more. With approximately 40 acres of orchard and citrus farming, the scale of operation required extensive site preparation, including forest clearing, land grading, soil improvement, field surveying, irrigation, fertilization, weed control, pest management, pruning, maintenance, and the planting of thousands of plants. Over the past 2 to 3 years of preparation for President Irfan's massive citrus production is no less than $250 million. $250 million. I want Guyanese to understand that I'm not like the PPP who will inflate numbers for their gain. Each of these numbers, including this $250 million investment for just citrus, is an extremely low estimate. You would have to have a lot more than 19 fraud charges to accumulate the immense capital to fund this project. It would take a regular farmer generations to fund an investment of this magnitude. Generations. Now, to irrigate this massive estate ranch, you must have some constant and reliable source of water. The construction of a massive well and irrigation system to substantiate and supply water for the orchard, fields, 7 shade houses and 9 greenhouses, aquaculture facilities, livestock operations, and agricultural developments across the estate will require a well and water system that costs $30 million, including the 40 black tanks seen sprinkled around the property, and the required plumbing to run pipes throughout the entire estate. The total cost for water will cost a total of $45 million. Now let's move on to the fleet of heavy machinery President Irfaan purchased specifically for his estate ranch. The development, heavy lifting, and maintenance of the entire facility has its own designated machines. This includes 3 excavators, roller, dump truck, and grader. Additionally, there are multiple cars, bikes, quads, canters, camper, and boats. The total estimated cost for this is $150 million. In President Irfaan Ali's luxury estate ranch is the construction and subsidization of the living quarters for the workforce operating this sprawling agricultural estate. As clearly seen in the images, the property contains nearly a dozen permanent residences, including newly constructed concrete homes with steel roofs, built to comfortably accommodate full-time on-site managers, supervisors, farmers, and laborers, conservatively valued at approximately $60 million. These living quarters represent yet another significant investment within the president's massive estate. The additional cost for the payroll to employ a full-time workforce to operate an agricultural estate of this magnitude is unbelievable. The workforce includes full-time veterinarians, farm managers, equipment and heavy machinery operators, livestock attendants, greenhouse workers, security personnel, maintenance staff, and general laborers and farmers. Even using a very conservative estimate of just 50 farm workers earning an average of $100,000 per month, the monthly payroll alone would be approximately $5 million. Over a 3-year period, that amounts to approximately $180 million in wages. That is leaving out security. Now let us talk about the perimeter fencing and security infrastructure for President Irfaan Ali's entire estate ranch, which is secured by an extensive perimeter fence, stretching for several kilometers around the ranch, enclosing poultry facilities, livestock barns, aquaculture ponds, orchards, buildings and internal roadways. Constructing a secure agricultural perimeter of this size requires thousands of feet of fencing materials, treated fence posts, high tensile wire or chain link mesh, hardware, labor, land clearing, and ongoing maintenance. Comparable agricultural fencing materials sold in Guyana indicate that fencing alone represents a significant capital investment of at least $50 million. My brothers and sisters, I want you to truly understand the sheer magnitude of the corruption I have shown you today. While Guyanese continue to struggle and face daily hardships without the most basic essentials like reliable electricity, clean water, decent roads, a place to call home, and essential public services. This is what the president of Guyana has stolen from them simply to enrich his own life. A president exists to serve its citizens, not himself. Throughout the planning, development, and construction of this entire city, there have been no oversight boards, no public disclosure, no oversight from Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission. Since the PPP government has taken office in 2020, there has been no head of the Lands and Surveys Department. The president decides on land allocations, and this was authorized and approved. His own development funded entirely by taxpayers' money. So as he continues to distract people by riding around on a bicycle, turning a pot of food, and dancing at every party, Guyanese people continue to struggle. I hope that the Guyanese people open their eyes and see the massive corruption. I hope also the business community and elites of society open their eyes to how the president is amassing his own generational wealth, while he is booming them down for money and continuously expected to finance his lavish fundraisers, extravagant parties, and galas. I hope they take a hard look at what is unfolding. This is the reason President Irfaan refuses to fire any of his corrupt ministers, whose corruption I have also exposed. It is because he is 100 times more corrupt than they could ever be. I trust that the U.S. authorities and the international community are paying keen attention to how public office is used to enrich themselves. This outrageous exploitation and unprecedented corruption of 2.2 billion of taxpayers' money by the President of Guyana, President Irfaan Ali, for his own personal enrichment and gain is a mark of shame which will go down in history, and he will be remembered as the most corrupt and selfish president Guyana has ever seen. And this is what corruption looks like under the PPP government. They are nothing like Dr. Chetty Jagan, who is a humble and simple man.
We believe that the working people must have a say, and the state must help to protect the poor. The rich can always take care of themselves. The poor is the one who needs protection,